Welcome to Great Overload. I'm Anthony, and Microsoft has announced Windows 11. With the announcement of Windows 11 today, Microsoft said it's the next generation of Windows, which is true Microsoft. That's what comes after the Windows 10 and the current generation is Windows 11. So, good on you for that. But jumping into some more serious stuff, Microsoft said that when the Windows updates will be smaller, the OS will use less energy. They say it's going to be more secure. I really want to know how. I hopefully that they can lay this out up in the coming months before release. Um, and they really kind of laid out then a few little new features that they have for this. So one thing I do want to say though before jumping into all the rest is Microsoft, when you're streaming something like this and you're trying to get people, notified about it and excited about it, try to make sure that you're ironed out the streaming for it on your services. Thank you CNET for actually having a stream that worked on YouTube, because Microsoft Stream did not work whatsoever. But Microsoft, went through on just the new snapping capabilities of having better snapping overall, and having snap groups that were able to minimize together when you took away a monitor and were switching monitors and then be able to come back. I'm hoping that proves to be better DPI scaling and better scaling between screens and different resolutions. As a developer and as just somebody that uses a lot of different screen sizes, hooks up to different monitors all the time, the DPI scaling is a pain. It is one of Microsoft's biggest issues in Windows 10 for me, and I'm hoping that they finally get this ironed out, because it's annoying to go between 1K and 4K constantly and have your windows just wrecked each time and just have, yeah, and if you scale at different scalings between them, Microsoft a lot of times cannot even figure it out. I'm hoping that they finally get this ironed out. They did show off unplugging a monitor, it minimizing everything, and when you plugged it back in, it minimized all those snap tabs right back to where they were. That was pretty cool. Now, they already have multiple desktops inside Windows 10, and here Microsoft was kind of showing off that you can do it uniquely to each one. I'm hoping that this eventually syncs. There's been reports out there that I think Brad Sams, he had put out there, yeah, Microsoft is not syncing this. Um, yeah, Microsoft, it's not that hard. You already have OneDrive. Um, if you have a Microsoft account, why don't you sync them? Because I could see myself having developer one, having a video editing one, having a gaming one, having a productivity one, having a browsing tab or browsing desktop, and then switching between them. And I love if each of those would sync to each device that I have, and I do have multiple devices. So they did show off touch briefly on the browser and having vertical tabs. Microsoft already has that today, so I don't know why they were showing it off. Maybe low usage and they want higher usage on it. Uh, Windows widgets, yeah, Microsoft. I don't know. They're powered by AI. I'll see how they work once I'm able to test them out, and we'll see if I'll be able to do that here on Windows, previews. But overall, hopefully that they work better than some of the other AI stuff that's out there, like autocorrect. And when I say not junk in my email, it's not junk, and stop putting it in junk. But I don't think that's powered by AI yet, but it's driving me insane anyways, Microsoft. Microsoft did say something funny, or I find funny, because when somebody just says, it just makes sense, and I can't remember what they were pertaining it to right now. I just know it was in Windows 10, or a version of it was in Windows 10, and this new version, they said it just makes sense. Though the next version might make even more sense, Microsoft too. It's just a funny way to put it, not something I would actually have put in there. And if it did make sense, Microsoft, why wasn't it the first version? Right? That's the funny part to me about it. Teams will be integrated into Windows. Oh, and also the start button and everything is moved towards the center. I'm sure that's going to trip up a lot of people. As somebody that helps out a lot of people with their computers and stuff, I can only imagine some of the questions I'm going to get about this. Thank you, Microsoft. Skype, is it going away? I have a really big question about that, right? Is Skype going to be going away at some form, because they're putting Teams integrated into Windows, and on that start bar or taskbar? So, and the taskbar might not be able to be moved. Some places I was reading that that's not able to be moved. Time will tell. There now jumping into gaming, which I'm actually really excited about when I actually have time to play games, is that they talked about auto HDR, which is already on the Xbox, and that's supposed to just work. And then direct storage, which direct storage you need PCI Express 3.0 NVMe SSD, and this is a way to copy data directly from the SSD to the GPU. I think that that's great that that's finally coming to PCs here, and hopefully that this stuff also propagates into Windows 10. And I'll touch on why here in a little bit once I get into requirements. Um, they rebuilt the Windows Store. It's supposed to be the safest and most secure way to get items on the Windows in Windows. Yeah, okay. I'm not sold on that. As much as I like the idea of the Windows Store, as a developer, Microsoft has proven time and time again to be their biggest hurdle. Right? They called developers heroes today, which was, I think, just trying to get developers to jump on board with what they're saying, right? Compliment them, and hopefully that they'll agree with us. However, your Windows Store needs to prove what they were doing, right? I work for a corporation and we have our own licensing model and stuff. So if you want apps like that inside of Windows, you're going to have to prove that your licensing model or your model is going to adapt to that. Now, if we have, and that would, I think, fall underneath our own commerce engine. That would means that Microsoft doesn't keep any of that to put in their store. Now, I do like that idea, right? I think that Microsoft can still set up a store, but if they want everything to be in the store and that to be the safest way, and that's where everybody gets stuff from, that's going to be that's a huge hurdle to get over, right? Microsoft had to make that choice because otherwise you're going to have a whole bunch of companies and never actually want to submit anything into the Windows Store. So hopefully, I think that this is one hurdle that they got over, right? And then they changed the other split of 8812, which is great, right? As a developer, that makes me more willing to want to put stuff into the store, right? Because I get to keep more of the money, which is all good. So there's also Amazon apps. So they're going to have Windows subsystem for Android, which allows you to run Android apps on Windows. I think this is a huge deal as well. That you can, I do have Android apps that I use that are only in an app, which I'm annoyed by. I wish there were PWAs. However, they're not. And that's how I control certain things, is through that. So that's all well and good. Now we get into the fun stuff, which is system requirements. Yeah, I am disappointed at this time for where Microsoft is going with this. So, system requirements are, and I'm going to post a lot of these links in the description below. 1 gigahertz processor or faster with 2 or more cores, a compatible 64-bit processor or system on a chip. So I believe there's not much on the 64-bit processor here, but I'll get into that. Some other articles I've read from PC World here today have actually produced lists of what processors there are, and I'll actually mention that here. Which is a Ryzen 2000 and above, and an Intel 7000 series and above, or 8th gen and above. Which I really want to know what the underneath requirement is. Is it a requirement based upon, an instruction set? Then I can understand this. However, PCs forever have been, you can upgrade, Windows especially, you can upgrade your old PCs and bring them forward to the new OS. Really trying to do this is Microsoft, it looks like, to really start forcing a lot of machines to jump forward, which could actually put Windows 10 as the new XP. Getting into the next step is 4 gigabytes of RAM. Not much, 64 gigs of storage. UEFI and secure boot capable. Trusted TPM chips, or trusted platform module version 2.0. compatibility with DirectX 12 with the latest WDDM 2.0 driver or newer. So that's your Windows device driver model. So that's newer. And then what else here we got? High definition display, greater than 9 inches, 8-bit color. And if you have Windows Home, you will need an internet connectivity to complete the device setup for the first time because it will be using your Microsoft account. They say that this is going to be the most secure OS, and they're going to make this online. Time will tell. I really hope that the security people pick this apart. I do not have faith in Microsoft to do the right thing with security at all. They have been pushing more and more opt-out stuff and not opt-in. To me, an OS is an operating system, right? And you install an operating system, then you install the software that you want. It shouldn't come pre-installed with everything. Microsoft is taking a different approach. I disagree with it. Maybe someday that they'll get back to it. I want an OS that is, lean and performance, right? That's what I need it to do. I need it so that when I do my work, it's not running Windows junk. And Windows 10 has gotten bloated with, throughout the years. I'm really hoping that that kind of is reduced and we kind of get rid of that. So now getting into my annoyances, I've gone through and I will post the links to the supported CPUs for this. I don't get why Ryzen 1 is not supported. Now, I have a Threadripper in my personal rig. I have a Threadripper 1950X. I have access to 2970X, which I will be swapping in there here now. I have another machine that I was testing for something else, and now I'm going to swap it. It was running Linux. I'm going to swap it with a 1950X now. Going through and not seeing my Threadripper 1950X on a list is pretty disappointing considering the amount of money I spent on this machine, right? I have a 7960, which technically, according to Intel, is not in the list. And I'm using the PC Health Check, and I will post a link to that in the description below if you want to see if your PC is capable. And that PC is capable. My Threadripper is not capable. My Surface Pro 4 is not capable. And according to this PC World article, is that Microsoft is just cutting, they're eliminating 7th gen core processors are out. So this is a substantial part of the market that Intel or that Microsoft is getting rid of. And Microsoft saying that a lot of people are going to be brought forward with this is not exactly true because you're going to have a lot of this. Now, they did talk about how this is going to be a great gaming OS. It's not going to be a great gaming OS, Microsoft, if you can't bring a lot of the people forward on it, right? If you're going to make people upgrade, gamers just, as much as they want to upgrade and want to do it, they're on a budget, right? And they get kind of irritated when we're pushed to do certain things, right? It's just irritating. And you've been irritating us a lot by having all these different mechanisms to try to make Windows gaming better, throwing stuff in interfaces, putting stuff in the taskbar, and it's adding up. So, maybe this is some of my frustration also coming out here at Microsoft. I develop software during the day. I mean, I do everything from design, writing the software, to build and test. So I work in the whole workflow. I design UIs. I do all that fun stuff, right? Write, test, everything. So it's just frustrating what Microsoft is kind of doing here. Now, maybe maybe they want Windows 10 to be the Windows XP, but I really want to know why this TPM is enabled, which on my Threadripper system, I have enabled it. It says in the device manager, I have TPM 2.0. So according to this, that's their requirement, right? It's just not, one of their listed processors. So where does this break down, right? Because it's 1 gigahertz or faster according to this on your system requirements. But yeah, when I have a 16-core, 32-thread processor at 3.6 gigahertz on all cores, right? That's fairly new. Within 4 years, 5 years, that's not going to be supported is a real shame, especially since I spent a lot of money on this. So Microsoft's got some explaining to do, And they left this out of their announcement, and they left this out of the developer part of this too, which I also watched, which I think is on purpose to kind of minimize backlash right away. However, Microsoft, you're going to find out it's going to bite you worse. Because people, if you would have came out with this first, you would have been able to mitigate a lot of the questions, the issues, and explain why. Now we don't have an answer why. You're just saying you're doing this. So I'm not going to make a final judgment on Windows 11 right now. I'm just not. I have my questions. I have strong questions about this, and I need to hear answers from Microsoft. Right, my Surface Pro, which I spent a lot of money on, right, $1,500 for their device that they're selling, and I have two of them in my house. Me and my wife have one. I have an machine that was built the same time that from Intel 7960 with my Threadripper that somehow is getting it, but according to Microsoft's list, I've searched through for the 7960X and I can't find it there. So let me just do a quick search on this. Yeah, the 10900X, 10920, those are all there. Now, granted, those with the 79 are basically the same thing. So, um, yeah, they're just minorly tweaked, right? So there's that thing. There's it's frustrating. Now, with the TPM stuff, a lot of the new computers will show up. It might say, "Hey, you're not supported." You'll have to go into BIOS, enable like secure boot, your TPM, your make sure UEFI is all set. I think it's what called FTPM for AMD, which is actually built in the processor, my Threadripper, and then um, it's what is it? PTT for Intel, which I enabled on that other one to get it going. So I have questions of Microsoft. It seems more arbitrary. Now, I'll wait for an update. I'll see how it goes, but just think about it, Microsoft, and what you're really trying to accomplish. Are you trying to make this, a gaming platform and get people on it? Because you really were trying to push that with the announcement. Are you trying to make this a productive thing, or are you trying to sell new hardware for your partners? You know, in a spot where hardware is limited and prices are through the roof, doesn't make it look too good. Now, that's just all, it could be all, bystanders and everything else and just coincidence, right? However, it you have to ask that question. So, hopefully Microsoft answers this. It's a shame that this wasn't more explained by them. Um, and maybe that's the nature of Microsoft wants to take, is they want to keep stuff underneath wraps and have users uncover it, or people like me just trying to dig through stuff to see what's actually working and get back and just complain, and then they'll switch stuff and say, "Oh no, we didn't mean it by that," right? Some people have said that there's hard and soft things for Microsoft to kind of allow the upgrade to go happen. That should have been addressed, right? Especially if going forward and how you want to approach. If you're really consumer friendly, if you really are trying to push this product and we're consumer centric, right? Are you? If you're not telling the consumer everything up front. That's where I'm going to leave it today. Leave it in the comments below on what your thoughts are on this. You can talk to me until you're blue in the face. I've checked everything, and I know there's going to be problems, and I'm going to get phone calls nonstop about this. And I'm going to have to, and I have to figure it out, because I got to explain it to users, and everybody else is going to ask me questions, and if I don't know the answer well enough, and it's going to take me time to be able to develop that answer and to get that answer, they're going to be frustrated. And I don't think Microsoft was thinking about the consumer in that decision, just from that standpoint. I could be wrong. They probably have a reason, but remember, they didn't tell us. So Leave it in the comments below on what your thoughts are. I know I'm a little bit irritated. I'll let you guys know what I think of Windows 11 as it gets to release here, and hopefully we kind of see it. But it'll be, one update a year finally, not two like they should have did in the beginning. And every 24 months it'll be serviced, and then 36 and 4 months for enterprise and education as well. So leave the questions below, and hopefully we can get answers to this stuff. Um, yeah. So, but God bless. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. You guys are great at helping this channel grow. I really do appreciate it. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.